Hi, I'm Sarah Ryan, and I'm a one of many certified coach, and I work with female lawyers to help them to find a life of fulfillment, abundance, and happiness. Now, I worked as a lawyer for 10 years, and one of the questions that I get asked quite a lot is, why did I quit being a lawyer? And there are lots of reasons really that went up to that decision. Over the course of my 10-year career, I seemed to constantly sway between being stressed out and burnt out and exhausted and overworked. And then I would do that for 5 days of the week, and then I would rest over essentially become a zombie for the 2 days of the weekend, and then go back and do it all over again. And what I know now, which I didn't at the time, looking back, I was actually in burnout or close to burnout at that point, because I was essentially sleeping through my weekends to make it through the days. So that was a big part of it. I think another factor was that my experience was that there is a culture through many law firms of wearing a mask. So we are afraid of telling our co-workers that we're struggling, or we're afraid of telling our co-workers that we are not doing, we're not managing our workload, or we're not doing okay for some reason. We're afraid to do that, to tell them, to be honest. And I get that we wear that mask for our clients because we have to have that professional, we have to show up and be professional. But I think we need to have that place within our law firms where we can let some of those walls down and be honest about how we're really doing. So that culture, I found, eroded me as well, because it's quite lonely. You feel very lonely. You're afraid to really share how you're doing. So you're constantly telling everyone that you're fine, you're coping, yep, billing's up, yep, doing this, and I'm cracking through the files, but you have no one really that you could admit to, and that can make it feel quite lonely. The other thing is, when I became a mum, that changed an awful lot, because you're juggling long hours, heavy workloads, with also showing up as a mum. And I think that's it. You feel like you end up failing at both, essentially. You're not showing up for your kids, but you're also not showing up at the office as much as everyone else. So it feels like a failure on both parts. And although I went down to part-time, in reality, that is essentially managing a full-time caseload on part-time hours, being paid less for it, and then working evenings and weekends to try and catch up. So that was a big part of it as well. And I think, looking back, all of these things could have been, I don't want to say fixed, but we could have found solutions to all of those things with the tools that I now know as a coach. So I think the knowledge that I have now could have helped me to, for example, set good boundaries with time and energy management, delegation, all those sort of things. So there's a lot that I could have done to help the me of 5 years ago. But it was the final thing really for me that meant that I didn't want to stick around and make those changes, because the final part of it for me was that I realised law just fundamentally wasn't a good fit for me as a career. It was not what I was best suited to. So I find myself, although I've trained myself over the years to get very good and get very good at details and have a very strong eye for detail, it actually really irritates me, like looking at spreadsheets, staring at plans, reading long reports. I find it drains my energy. It's not where I really light up. For me, I'm much more effective when I am dealing with people, when I am supporting others, when I am, networking, building things, creating things. And I think that if you've ever done your talent dynamics profile, you'll understand what I'm saying a bit more here. But I'm kind of more of the supportive star side of things, where I'm all about the people and the relationships and that side of things. Whereas traditionally a solicitor would sit more on the other side of the scale, which is Lord. So a lot more detail focused, steel energy and that sort of thing. So I can put a link to Talent Dynamics below if anyone wants to find out a bit more about that. Not that I'm affiliated with it or anything, it's just one that I did, and that helped me to understand where I was well suited. So now I work as half of my time I work as a coach, and the other half of my time I work in sales. And those two jobs are really well suited for me because it's all about getting to know the other person, understanding what makes them tick, helping to understand their vision and their goals for the future, and helping them to get past any obstacles that might be in the way to get there. So it's stuff that really lights me up. It really excites me. So that was the main reason why I decided to step away from the law, was that it just wasn't lighting me up. It wasn't fulfilling for me. I really felt like I wasn't making a difference. Now that's not really true, because I made a big difference for my clients. I was really empathetic. I really, my clients used to love me, toot my own horn there, but my clients did love me because I was that empathetic, warm, compassionate person. I was all about building the relationships, but to me, it wasn't making the difference that I wanted to make in the world. So I think those two factors alone were the big reason why I decided to step away from the law. I think the other things were all surface level problems that felt big at the time, but actually there were solutions to those if I had been invested enough to want to find those solutions, if that makes sense. So that's why now in my coaching, I help to support other lawyers to either, if they decide they want to stay in the law, I help them to find those solutions and step up as the leaders they want to be, so that they can work more effectively, be more fulfilled, be happy, be abundant, be rewarded properly for their work, and all those kind of things. Or I help them if they identify that it isn't their vision and it isn't what they want to be doing. Perhaps they've got into it for approval or whatever it was. If it's not what they want to do, I help them to open up and start looking at, well, what difference do you want to make in the world? Where is your next step? So, that's the sort of work that I do now, and I love doing that. So yeah, that's really my story. That's why I quit being a lawyer. And like I said in my previous video, I've never regretted being a lawyer, but I've also never regretted leaving it behind, because it was absolutely the right time for me to move on, and absolutely the right decision to do so. I've never been happier. I'm just about, there's lots of things I had to consider when making the decision. The big one, of course, being financial, because without really having another plan of where I was going to go, that is an impact on my family that I had to consider. But ultimately we decided that me being happy and being able to be more present and being, more authentically myself was much more important than, being able to go on an extra holiday or whatever it was. So, I'm not going to say the road has always been easy, but it's not a decision that I ever regret making. And that's, that's just the bottom line, really. There's always going to be road bumps when you make a big life decision like this, but I think if it's the right one, you'll find a way. You'll find your own path and you'll find a way to do it. So I hope that's been helpful. If you have any questions for me on this, or if you are stuck yourself and you want to kind of have a chat over it, pop a comment in the box below, and I'll reach out and we can have a chat. Or if you've got any other questions or anything else you want to know about on my YouTube channel, again, just leave a comment below and I'll try and do an extra video for you to answer those. Thanks for watching today, and I'll speak to you soon.